guys, Coach Dino here. Very tired, very sore, very stiff, very hungry. Coach Dino here, but we're 5-6 days out. Sunday, next Saturday is the INBF Central Natural Championships, WNBF Pro Qualifier. I've done it 2 times before, and the goal is to win the overall. Thinking that I wanted to talk about peak week because, you know, I have 4 clients as well doing this competition. I have about a half a dozen other clients prepping for other shows in the next few months. So peak week often comes up in conversation, and a lot of new competitors think that peak week is this magical time where, you know, you can make up either for a bad prep or you can get an extra edge over your competition. Bottom line, with peak week, if I don't look good today, and if I don't like the way I look today, nothing's going to change in this week to make me look any better next Saturday. The goal of peak week is to ensure that I look next Saturday like I do today, and in the meantime, I don't get sick, I don't get hurt, I don't get depleted by training too hard and not eating enough, doing too much cardio, trying to make up for maybe not being lean enough, things like that. So I've been training for 27 weeks, losing about 0.8 pounds per week, hoping to come in as lean as I've ever been, and I am that now, and that's the goal of this week, is to just ensure that I end up looking like I do today, with a tan, a little shine, carved up, ready to rock, and the night goes smoothly. So, and actually the goal of a natural bodybuilding prep isn't to gain any muscle mass, it's to preserve as much lean body mass as possible while losing as much body fat as possible. If you're natural, that's your goal during a prep, is lose as much of your body fat and maintain. Try not to lose much lean body mass. Don't lose muscle, don't lose bone, don't lose organ tissue. You will lose some, but the goal is to, you know, have a slow enough prep, stressing your body enough that you maintain your muscle mass. So, you know, sprinters will peak for a sprint. You know, different sports will do an off-season, an in-season training camp, a preseason, those kind of things, in order to get the athlete ready for whether it's playoffs or something like that, right? So you're trying to peak for a specific event. The thing about peaking versus peak week is, yes, I am peaking for a specific event. I planned all these things out so that on this day, hopefully I'll be in my best condition. But the idea of peak week is taking this small, you know, 1 week out of 27 and hoping to, you know, risk all those 26 weeks of work in order to gain an extra percentage edge over someone else. And I think that that is too big of a gamble for me, too big of a gamble for anyone else. This is my 8th peak week. I've done 8 bodybuilding shows, or this will be my 8th bodybuilding show in under 2 years, actually, just under 2 years. So, you know, let's risk as little as we can, and just hope we look like we do today on show day, with a tan, shaved up, you know, smiling, ready to rock, all that great stuff. So let's talk about, you know, kind of what people do. And here's, I drew some crude diagrams, but here's the traditional, you know, back load. So you would start on Saturday, maybe being a little higher than normal in terms of your carbohydrates. I know a lot of traditional bodybuilders go low carb all the time, so you might start off down here. I drew several different lines because there's different types of methods for this, but basically all the end results are that you are full of muscle glycogen and carbs on show day right here, so the bar can't be any higher. You are full, but you might see that it's high and then you deplete really low and you wait a long time and then you carb up, or you gradually carb up. But these are the methods known as the backload. So you go really low and then you go high. So that's traditional. And then within the last 10 years or so, the mode that's gained a lot of popularity has been the front load. And the idea being that if you're full already, Let's not mess around. So, you know, keeping the carbs high. You might go a little higher a week out. Actually on Friday and Thursday the week before, I know sometimes they'll go lower than normal, or they'll be depleted, they'll be cutting already or whatever, finishing up a cut, so then they'll go a little higher, and then they'll taper it down throughout the week. And you know, judging on how your physique looks, you might add some more here, you might go a little lower, but basically trying to just coast into the show. Again, you could always be a little off in that you're flat, then you got to add, or you could be a little too high and you're spilling over and you got to maybe do some extra pump up, have more water, things like that. So that's the front load. There's some other methods, especially this one, the rapid back load. This is kind of one that almost won me over, and I tried it on one of my meets and it didn't go so well. But you start off kind of wherever you are, and then to Friday a week out, maybe Thursday you go a little low here just to deplete a bit, then you go quite high, maybe a little bit higher than normal. Maybe Sunday through Thursday you deplete, you do depletion workouts, and you try to get every last bit of glycogen out of your body. And then either Thursday you start adding, or Friday. And so we've seen some crazy high numbers, like guys having, you know, 14, 15, 1600 grams of carbs on show the day before show day. I guess the main thing I want to emphasize is that you're not really going to be more full than any other method. Like, we have limited glycogen stores. They do flex a little bit in that the more you give, the bigger they can get, but it's to a limit. So this is kind of a gigantic risk, and we don't know if we're only seeing the successful backloads on social media, and that these coaches maybe have a lot of unsuccessful backloads as well. You never know with this method, but I just wanted to show, you know, the big thing about me with Peak Week and what I've learned is you want to have as few variables changing as possible, and you don't really want very drastic changes. So I'll kind of offer, here's what I do, and this is what I've developed, and this is what I do with my clients, is I will Saturday, Sunday, probably Saturday usually, we'll get them on their either off season or their refeed carb day. Depending how they look, then we'll bring it back down to their diet the week before. So here we are, let's say my refeed days I was doing 350, 400, and then on my diet days I was around, you know, 150. I think I got as low as 125. So then I'd go down here, and I'd just be kind of where I've been at for the last few weeks for my dieting, tapering my workouts and stuff, seeing how I look. And then Thursday I'll go back to the same thing I had here, and then Friday I'll go a little higher, and this will usually be my off-season carbs. So this is maybe our typical refeed carbs, which are a little lower because my whole mass is lower, so I'm not doing what I did in the off-season when I refeed, and that's kind of different because I know a lot of newer coaches will use your off-season numbers, but you got to remember, I've lost 20-30 pounds, and a huge percentage of that is lean body mass, so I'm smaller all in all, so I probably require less carbs. So again, refeed, off season, and then depending on how I look. But the curve is less drastic. Again, however you look on this day, you're hoping to look on this day. And again, this bar is going to be the same size no matter what option you choose. The only reason I don't keep it the same all the way through is that I don't want it too low, right? So this is what I've been doing, right? But what I've been doing is dieting. So I want to reintroduce carbohydrates, and I want to make sure I'm full. So you load up a little bit, you see how your fullness is. Like, I'm pretty full today, and then I go back to doing what I was doing, and then I'll add a little more back in, and then I wake up pretty full and tight on this day. And the sodium and the water helps as well, as I'll be loading water throughout the week, consuming normal sodium, and then on show day I have lots of sodium, and on show day I have quite a bit of water as well. But that's what I do. So really not trying to be too crazy with any of the manipulations. Most of my clients, you know, I try to emphasize, if this is your first time, you probably look the best you've ever looked. It should not matter whether or not you have a pro physique. You're an amateur and this is your first time and you're in the best shape of your life, and you need to enjoy that, reward yourself for that, and enjoy the process. And if you enjoy competing, you've learned some useful skills in order to maintain this lifestyle so that you can take it into your next competition and improve upon that. I think going 150% on your first show can turn a lot of people off. You haven't quite learned the life skills yet, so you're trying to learn all these new things. Meanwhile, you're dieting, you've got diet brain, you've got low blood pressure, your workouts are harder, your joints hurt, you know, maybe you're dehydrated, you're carb depleted sometimes. So I think winning your first show can be a detriment. It was in my case. I won my first show. Really all that means is I lucked out in that 7 other guys probably weren't in as good a shape. Any other guys could have showed up and maybe I wouldn't have won, and that probably would have been better, because then I would have gotten better, because winning my first show, I went on to not do quite as well my second season because I thought I was better than I was. And since then I've learned that it doesn't even matter what other people look like, just keep improving upon your physique. So I guess the point of this video is, it's peak week, you've worked, you know, 12 weeks, 18 weeks, 20 weeks, in my case 26 going on 27 weeks, and I don't want to do anything crazy this week that could change and ruin all that work. So moderate carbs yesterday, a little bit today, normal stuff throughout the week, what I've been doing the last few weeks. On Thursday it'll be kind of like a refeed day carbs. I know I always look good the next day, and then again on the Friday before the show, maybe off-season carbs, so 500 or so, lots of sodium, lots of water. So as I'm pacing around here reviewing this video, I wanted to mention something again about carbohydrates, in that the reason my carbohydrates are my diet carbohydrates after I've loaded is that I'm tapering my workouts and my training volume and my cardio, so everything's going down. And because your training volume and training intensity is decreased during peak week, chances are you're going to be fuller on carbohydrates while eating less of them. So that is why I don't front load, in that I don't go high and then maintain relatively high. I go high and then bring it back down to dieting carbs, and then bring it back up a little bit. So I wanted to clarify that, because it might not make sense to not keep the carbs a little higher, but you got to remember your body is going to be resynthesizing glycogen because you're doing less activity. There's not as much energy turnover. There's more time for it to recover. So there's going to be more substrate available, as opposed to when I was dieting and training really hard the week before. I'd probably be flat for sure on those carbs. So just wanted to touch on that. Again, I don't take any diuretics and I don't cut water, because you can't lose water from magical spaces in your skin. Either you're lean enough or you're not. If you were holding water, if that's what the judges tell you, it's probably that you were just not lean enough. Retaining water looks a lot different than body fat, in that if you're retaining water, you probably have like marks on your legs from your socks. Not the case. You probably just weren't lean enough. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. And remember, you know, don't risk it all. Always question the things that you're given, and do they make sense in a scientific way? Can they be tested and verified, or is it just guru nonsense? So that's it, guys. As always, click like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the gym. Thanks.